All right, there we go. Hello everyone, how's it going? Team here, and this is BxJS development stream. And today I'm going to be doing something a bit different, I guess, from what I've typically done with, doing open source stuff and teaching you how to code. It's going to be slightly different, and I want you guys to let me know basically if you like this kind of format and this kind of tests or not. So the guys from WarpJS reached out to me and gave me an invite to their new function as a service platform and asked me to basically give them feedback. And I thought that, what the hell, I could do that, and I could probably do that on the stream because why not? So this is what we're going to be doing today, and I've looked through the website, I've looked through the documentation a bit, watch the stuff that they've shared basically, but I'm not 100% sure how that works. So we're basically gonna discover that together, I guess, right? And yeah, so this is sort of the format that I have in mind. I have no idea how this will come out. So if you do like it, let me know. We're gonna find something else to basically check out. If not, then, well, this is gonna be the last one probably. But let's just see how that goes. So what is WarpJS? Well, it's a function as a service website, the platform, right? Allows you to deploy serverless JavaScripts in seconds, as they say. Works with Google, Azure, Amazon, Kubernetes, whatever you can imagine. Looks very fancy, very nice. First comment I already have for the website is that it doesn't work well with zooming. So if I zoom out to the 100%, it scales properly, but if I zoom in so that everyone can read it, it starts adding this weird horizontal scrolling. I'm not even sure why exactly that happens, but I'm guessing there's just some issues with the markup. But you know what, whatever. Let's just keep it at 110%, seems to be still fine. So yes, function as a service. I personally really like that paradigm, like the idea that you can just write a simple function and deploy it atomically to some sort of a backend that will handle the scaling and everything for you is very appealing. Unfortunately, so far, I haven't found an implementation that would basically be satisfying enough to me, let's put it this way. So it's usually either very complex, like, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Functions, or whatever. They're really good, they're really flexible, but it is not easy to get started. Like, even the frameworks that build around them usually take you, well, a lot of time to set up the project and just deploy a simple function, right? So it's usually a pain in the ass to use that. On the other hand, there are simpler versions like now.sh or there was like a couple of them, like Cloudflare Edge functions. This is slightly different though. And those are usually easier, but then the pricing is not as compelling as it is for Amazon, right? I'm really curious as to how the Warp guys tackle this. So let's just, I guess, jump in and see how it works. So I've already created my account, I've already logged in. So we have this dashboard for managing stuff. We have the demo project created for us. As you can see here, I have not deployed yet anything. I will create an invite later on and probably throw it into the chat and add it to the video description if you are interested to try. As I said, they are in the beta version right now. They do have the pricing page, so they're going to be providing free tier with the banner, like the WarpJS banner that they add on top of the pages you deploy, which, is perfectly fair. And then what is a bit weird is that the pricing is very generic here. Oh, no, not generic, that's the wrong word. It's very vague here, let's just put it this way. So since it's a function as a service, I would expect that you will pay per usage, right? Because this is what typically happens. You pay per function call. And here they say, okay, pay as you go, no commitment, starting at 9 a month. So what does this 9 a month include? Like, what is there? What am I getting for that? And it also says like deploying on Google Cloud Platform, Amazon, Azure. Am I going to have to pay for this? Is this just an abstraction, or are they going to handle it for me? Like what's how? I need more details basically. This pricing page as of right now is not exactly comprehensive. It definitely needs some work. And if I would be a person, coming from somewhere else and just looking at this page, I would just close it immediately because there's not enough details for me to commit basically. I think this is the biggest gripe I have actually with these kind of platforms, and a lot of them suffer from this like not explicit enough explanation of how are you charged basically. But anyway, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get to the programming. So we got the documentation. And essentially it's just JavaScript. Like their approach is that you write your backend functions within your front-end code, and then the warping, like the warp client, basically handles the splitting and automatically deploys those functions into the backend as a function as a service thing, right? There is a quick start, so they have the WarpJS starter template, which I think we're just gonna grab and use, right? So I'm just gonna throw that into the terminal. We're gonna clone that. We're gonna rename it, and I guess, push it to the BxJS repo as usual. So let me rename that from WarpJS starter to, let's say, exploring WarpJS, right? Permission, what do you mean permission denied? Oh, God. There's this, for whatever reason, the new VS Code, after they changed the way it works with the, the delayed processing of the files, it sometimes locks the whole file system down, and as you close it, you cannot rename or move files, which is freaking annoying. So yes, here we go. I closed it, I reopened it. Let's open the folder. We want BxJS and exploring warp. Thank you very much. So we want that folder, and what else is there? So we do npm install. That sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. I forgot to disable my what do you call it, defender, but hopefully it's not going to be too slow. Well, that was actually pretty fast. Oh, because I'm because it's empty. Of course it was fast, right? There we go. That should fix it. There we go. Now it's installing stuff. Right, so we got that going. Meanwhile, let's have a look. So blah blah blah, node jip. So node 8 or above, that is fine. We got 13 running here. Okay, so next we need to log into WarpX. Sorry, Warp. Why am I calling it WarpX? I don't know. Let's try npx. Whoops, no. Warp login. What is my email address? I think it was Yamalite, right? So it's my usual stuff I use for this kind of accounts, and it's probably gonna ask me for. Are you gonna ask me for a password or what? Yes, there we go. Right. I don't remember my password, so I'm just gonna copy it from. Come on now, from over here, paste it, and are we? Yes, we are. We are logged in. Okay, cool. So we logged in. So far, seems easy enough. Create a warp function. Okay, warp lets you create your backend functions with no HTTP call to fully automate the deployments to infrastructure. Okay, in your front-end code, you just call warp.call and then wrap your. Okay, so the wording here is something that would need a proofreading from a native English speaker. That seems a bit. You could basically phrase it in a better way. So just just get someone on board who can proofread that and make it a bit nicer. That's a bit hard to read. Okay, blah blah blah. Hello. So let us see source index. Let's try to do that. I mean, source index.js. Okay. Oh, all right. So they already have the example here. All right. So we have imports, we have the strict pragma, that's fine. We init the warp engine, so I guess this needs some sort of initialization done first. And then on the DOM content loaded, we are gonna asynchronously call, using warp, the function hello, and then await for its result, and then add this result to the document. Okay, so here's what I don't get. Our hello function is basically just JavaScript, right? But we are accessing process, which is the node thing, which means I assume that this thing is running in Node. But why do we need this? Like, I get it from, from reading that this says, okay, we're running in Warp and it's going to be a server function, not a client function. Why is this required if we're going to wrap it, if we're going to have to wrap it into warp.call anyway? So what if I'm already wrapping stuff, why do I need additional pragmas? Is there a way to run client functions in Warp? Is that a case? Let's see, API reference. Can you do that? Okay, that's table of contents. That's not an API reference. Engine directives. There we go. So we got. There is only one directive right now. No. Okay, so there's the -client plus client and -server plus server. To indicate the visibility of code in the front-end asset, use -client to indicate that the code will be deleted from the original JavaScript file, or +client. Oh, okay. So they use this pragmas also for removing the code when you build the app. I see. Okay, that makes more sense, but still, And that just feels weird. Like I would, if you are calling something with warp, that assumes that it's going to be running on the backend, right? So I would basically just ditch that unless there are some cases I'm not seeing, which there might as well be. Then they need a better description of what those are. So if I would write this, I would probably ditch that and just extract and remove all functions that are executed via warp call, because this seems logical to me. Again, I might be missing something, but this is essentially my perception so far. But anyway, let us continue. So we got this. We can run npm run deploy, which will deploy to production. Let's try. I mean, I hope my current account actually allows doing that. Okay, so it uses Webpack to build it for production mode, which makes sense. So it's going to compile the whole thing. And they have the Webpack plugin, if I remember correctly, that basically does the whole heavy lifting and splitting it into functions and front-end code, which I guess is also convenient enough. I wonder if you could integrate it basically with other, goddammit, what do you call them? Bundlers, right? Because the Webpack is, yes, it is the most popular one, but it's not the only one out there. Like I use Rollup pretty regularly. And there's also Parcel, which, well, Parcel 2 is coming soon, so that's gonna be good as well. Okay, so we deployed the demo. It's this path. I guess it automatically picked up the demo tag. And there's our warp. And I guess my JavaScript is blocked. Okay, that is a lot of calls here. What is going on? So there is... okay, there's some bugs here again, I guess, because of the too long names. But yeah, okay. Right, so we got this banner for the free tier, and we got Hello World from Node.js. So they're using Node version 8.16. I'm guessing this is like... I think it was like Google Cloud, right? So is it Google Cloud uses Node 15? Sorry, Node 8? Is it that bad? DCP functions Node version. Is it really that bad? Because I know the Amazon Lambda is like at least running on 10, I think maybe even 12. So, okay, 8 runtime. So you can get a Node 10 runtime, but I guess you have to specifically ask for it. And they're probably not doing that, and by default you get like 8 or something. That's my guess at least. I mean, you know what? It's fine. It's not like we care about that too much right now. Okay. Right, so we should now have the deployment URL in our dashboard. That works perfectly fine. We can copy it, you open it, use it, whatever. Right, so here's the first question. How do I deploy a new version? So can I just say hello from Node version 2? Can I just be like, okay, so yeah, right. My thing is going to reformat everything. That's perfectly fine. So can I just run deployment again and get it deployed for the same project but with a newer version? Will that work? Are you going to do what I expect you to do, or are you going to do something weird like creating a new project? I'm guessing not, right? Is there like any config for deployment? So it just says warp deploy. Where is your... There's a warp init. I don't see any specification of the project anywhere. So I'm guessing it just picks the first one it finds. Like there's got to be some way to do that, right? Okay, deploy the demo. Okay, right. So we deployed a new version, and I assume we still have one project. That's correct. And this should now be the new one, right? Yep. Okay. Cool, so this works as expected, that's fine. I guess let's just try doing something more interesting than just running the Hello World stuff, right? Hey Memphis, welcome to the stream. All right, so what shall we do? What would be an interesting case here? Okay, can you use WebAssembly with Node 8? I don't think you can actually, right? I don't remember. But okay, let's try something more straightforward, I guess. Any suggestions on what do we want to try and build there? Oh, before we do that, let's try running it locally, actually, because it does have the local version. Uses the Webpack server, and it opened it in my Chrome browser, which is not what I want at all. Okay, so if we go to localhost 80, okay, and it uses my node. Okay, cool. Sync server time and client time. I mean, we could get the time from server, but that sounds very simple, right? You just return the date and then... I wonder, can you... Like, okay, so here's the question. Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So basically what they do is, when you run this, they return the value. What kind of values can you return? Can you return, what if our function is asynchronous? What if we do that? And then I'm gonna console log. I'm just gonna console log response here. I am assuming it's gonna return a promise that I can listen to, but I am library loading enabled. No, okay. So even if the function is async, it's still gonna return. So I guess it awaits it under the hood or something. Can I return? Can we do the? Wait a second. Can we do an event listener? Let me think for a second. So if we have node events. So let's say we want to dispatch events from the server function. And no, it's where's the node documentation? Come on. Events. There we go. That's what I want. So we want event emitter. Yes. So we want that. What if I go, okay, so we create a new event emitter and let me think for a second. There should be an example somewhere. Once on, okay, there we go. So we want this and we just say, okay, all right, I should probably initialize my emitter. My emitter, what is my emitter? Where is it coming from? I guess it's just new event emitter, right? It's been ages since I've used events in Node.js. New events emitter, there we go. So create a new event emitter on start. I'm just gonna do that. I have no idea if that's gonna work, but we're gonna find out in a second. So can I just basically create an event? So what we did here is we created an event emitter, right? We listen for the event start, and then once the start comes, we should start dispatching events. Wait a second, I think I'm dispatching it with the wrong signature because we want emit, then event, and then the data, right? So we want hello, and then the string that we have there. Okay, so this should return an event emitter, and I don't know. Right, so it returns undefined. So I guess you cannot actually do anything that complex here, right? So which is, I mean, I guess it makes sense. So functions is probably communicating. Here's the question. Wait a second. So if we do that, which means that, okay, we cannot actually return complex types, which means it's not like direct client to node interaction, which means that likely this stuff is happening over HTTP, right? So there should be a network request somewhere. There is a WebSocket and header messages. Okay, that is, I guess this is the hot reload WebSocket. If we filter by XHR, we got flow request. What is this? Blah, 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 headers. So there is nothing here. And response is, there is an encrypted payload in here. Interesting. Does it like encrypt and decrypt stuff on a fly? Response, WebSocket, true, cookies, entropy. So it seems like they encrypt and decrypt the payloads on the fly. Application octet stream. Interesting. Okay, I guess so. This is how it works, right? But it's still an HTTP request, which means we can only send JSON and strings, right? Which I guess makes sense, right? So it's like majority of functions. It would be amazing to have a magical backend functions that can send the node primitives to the client, but that is unfortunately, I don't know, can you actually achieve that? There's probably some way to do that, but there's going to be one hell of a task. So yeah, anyway, we are going away from here. So let's try to do something. Let's try to do something more interesting. So okay, we figured that out. I don't think we need the rest of the documentation. I'm going to keep that open. Okay, let's see. What do we want to do? Let me think. What can we do? What can we do? Here's another interesting question. Okay, so yeah, I guess the persisting state is the same problem as with the normal function as a service stuff. You have to have some sort of a database or some other state where you persist stuff. Let's try to see. So we can try to do like basic API So let's say hacker. No, I mean, hacker and use API is boring because I know that they have core, so you can actually do that on client, right? But we could do that on server if we could do something like very heavy. And theoretically, that should actually be faster than if we do that on client and should not load the client too much. Okay. So first of all, let's, you know what, let's just do that. So let's make it a bit more, you know, so that we can actually see the stuff that happens. There we go. So first, there's a big ass banner. Okay, so now it says loading. Probably should edit this thing because we don't want that. I guess we could also plug in React or whatever here, but that's not it's not something we want right now, so it doesn't matter. All right, but let's see. So let's say here's also okay. So it does support. I mean, I guess we're using Webpack, so which means we can just create another folder and import it, right? And it should work perfectly fine. Right. So let me think. What can we do with that would be fun. Okay, open APIs. Is there like catalog or something? Catalog. Anyone in the chat have suggestions of what can we try to do with that stuff? I'm just wondering of what can we do without like any you know, registration or anything. Something like, yeah, maybe synonyms or Pokemons as usual. Or, I mean, we could of course go over Hacker News again. Been doing that a bit too much, I guess. Medium, healthcare, documentation. Yeah, those are like, yeah, public, but most of them require keys. So there is a GitHub repo with public APIs. Let's see. Animals, anti-malware, books, cryptocurrency, Corona API. Yeah, sure. Okay, let me just make it a bit quiet. That is, I mean, yeah, sure, why not? Coronavirus API. Okay, probably better to use Google for that. GHO data API. There we go. That sounds like retrieving list of available dimensions. Is that, oh, you know what? Let's do a GraphQL. I remember seeing a Corona GraphQL somewhere. COVID-19 JSON time series. There we go. Blah, blah, blah. So this is, I assume, an example. Yep, that's a JSON, and that's not really, I mean, it's cool that they have that, but we don't really want that. We want something a bit simpler. COVID-19, blah, blah, blah. Tracking the spread with graph databases. I remember seeing a coronavirus API with a GraphQL stuff somewhere. Is that this one? GitHub. Yeah, okay, so this is like literally a JSON. Transforms into a JSON file. Okay, and Grafana GraphQL API. There we go. Okay, cool. So we got this API, which means there's another question. How does it handle packages? So say, obviously it will import the event emitter because, well, it's a part of node.js, so it doesn't even have to install it. But let's say we want, so let's make it, let's call it API, I guess. And I'm going to create an index.js here. And I'm going to take this and I'm just going to say, let's call it get data and be very creative. Okay, export const get data. We'll do that. I'm going to kill it from here, right? I'm going to say, okay, import from API. Okay. Gonna import get data, and then we're gonna call it over here, right? So theoretically that should still work locally. It does, great. Which means that now we can try and say, okay, so we got Apollo client, if I remember correctly, right? So we can get the Apollo client and use it. Come on, where's your reference? I just want a P reference. Apollo client, there we go. So yes, this is exactly what we want. So okay, so we no longer care about that. We no longer care about this stuff now. I mean, I guess we could do that for now. Just be very, very creative and just stringify everything. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wrap it in a pre-tag so that it looks nicely formatted. 3, and this has to be a string literal. There we go. Okay, so that, and now here, so first does it support imports? Well, we're gonna find out. Are you gonna throw an error for me or not? And there is definitely something is wrong. Import and export may only appear at top level. Okay, so you don't like that. Okay, fair enough. I guess you have to do const require. Okay, I guess, yeah, I mean, there is I remember seeing a proposal actually for nested imports, which makes perfect sense in my opinion. I still don't understand why they made them like top level only. I guess because you have a dynamic import. But let's just use require for now. So, okay, so we're going to have in memory cache, we're going to have HTTP link that is going to lead us to the this API, right? And we're going to have blah, 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 React Web Client. Let's call it BxJS Warp Client. Try to import on top. No, but if I import on top, that's not going to go to the backend, right? Because it's not going to be wrapped into warp data, I assume at least. So it's not going to work on the backend. It's just going to throw error messages when it finds Apollo and like all this stuff, basically. Okay, so right. So locally, it will complain that those things are not installed, which makes perfect sense. Now, here's the question. Do they have any documentation about the module resolution? What I want. Okay, so we already figured out we want to do that. Okay, I probably should leave that open. Let's go to WarpJS. And but they're using Webpack. It should handle it. Well, they are using Webpack. So the thing is that what they do is they take this function and deploy it as a part of the backend, right? Maybe you were right, and maybe it will work. I mean, like, hell, let's try. I'm curious. It's my assumption that this won't work because the packages that are going to be here on top are going to be like the parent level, and the stuff and function will get deployed to the server without this top level, and it's not going to work. But maybe you are right. Okay, so that's going to fail. So one npm install, what do we want to install? npm cache in memory, npm client, Apollo client, and Apollo link, right? So we're going to install that. I guess you do have to have your dependencies in. Well, I mean, yeah, you do have the warp here as well. So I guess it does use the package.json for that. Okay, no. There we go. Okay, so we got that. We got this. Reloads. And we got what? Can't resolve graphical language printer. Okay. Oh, yeah, I probably missed some dependencies, right? So it's probably requires. It probably requires like GraphQL package or something. Apollo boosts, React hooks. Yeah, GraphQL is what we want as well. npm install GraphQL. And we probably want GraphQL tag as well for the tagging templates. Okay. We're gonna see if that works. I'm also curious, right? Like, also, how would that work if you try to import the server packages on the client level? I don't think that's gonna work, right? Okay, so I mean, Apollo client is easy because it's a package that works on client and on server equally fine, right? And it actually, there's no error messages, but it doesn't seem to work either. Do we get any response from it? Blah, 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 header. So, response. WebSocket, okay, flow request, response. So we get some hash, but how do you debug that? Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. See, I told you. So it does not know what is in memory cache, what is HTTP link, what is Apollo client. So it does not include them into the server, which means that we have to actually throw them over here, right? Which, again, in my opinion, makes perfect sense because this is a different scope. Right, so I was correct. My assumption was correct. Let's see, require. There we go. Okay, so this should make it work. Okay, it recompiles, it pushes them there, it seems fine, and exception undefined. Why is it undefined? That should have worked, and we are still returning hello world here, right? So, okay, another question is, how does it handle logs from the server? Can I actually access them in any way? So, clients, let's see, if I just restart the dev server just in case to see if, are we started? Yes, we are, and it's VDS disconnected. So I assume this VDS disconnected is coming from, wait, what was happening? Is it from WarpJS or is it from, no, it's a Webpack dev server, okay. Uncaught exception undefined. So we now have an exception, but I don't see any errors. Cannot serialize back function invariant error defined in flow. So there's some error, but it's so bad that it basically crashes the whole damn thing. Oh boy, okay. Okay, you know what? Before we can, first of all, I don't think we actually need cache here. I'm just can just be without cache, and we can just remove all of that. We don't need that, right? So we just go with a link. So this basically should be sufficient. And there's still proto constructor of thrown exception cannot serialize back function invariant error defined in flow. I have no idea what that means. Okay, well, that did not go well. Okay, so first of all, does that compile? That compiles and works, right? So we got our JSON back, everything's fine. Here's question number 1. Can I actually see the log messages from the function? Is that something that works? No, I cannot, at least not. Okay, I can see them in the console, but yeah, okay. That's fine. That works. That's good enough, basically. Okay, so we cannot use Apollo client in here. Let's try a different one. Okay, so that's fine. Node.js GraphQL client. It's gotta be something else, right? I mean, Apollo is relatively complex, has all this caching and other stuff, so there's probably something that is easier. I mean, of course we could use like fetch or whatever, but that's just that's just not a very good way of doing that. So it's probably a better way. GraphQL request. Minimal GraphQL client supporting Node and browsers for script and simple apps. That sounds perfect. Let's do that. Okay, so let's see. First of all, we want to stop this. npm rm. We want to remove this stuff. We want to remove this stuff. And we want to remove this stuff, right? I don't know if we need GraphQL and GraphQL tag, but I'm just going to keep them in there just in case. I guess you don't, because it doesn't say so in the docs. So npm rm, we're going to remove that, and we're going to remove GraphQL tag as well. Right, a lot of removing stuff. Okay, let's install GraphQL request and see if that works. So there's already some limit. Like, it's the thing that basically the fact that it doesn't give enough information as to where the error occurs, so there's no proper stack trace, makes it really hard to figure out why Apollo client doesn't work. And I mean, Apollo client is not exactly the most complex package ever, right? It's not the simple one, but it also works in the browser, so it doesn't really need anything Node.js specific. So I'm not sure why it fails. Okay, yeah, I mean, we could just use that, right? So we could just take this and say, right, so you are gonna be a sync, and this is gonna be const request require. Okay, we're gonna run the default query for now. Result is gonna be await requests. It's actually a really nice signature. Okay. And then I'm just going to return result. So we don't care about the name for now. I'm just going to do that. Okay. npm run def. Let's see if that works. All right. So close this. Why does it keep opening the damn window in my... Yeah, that's a wrong... That's also wrong. Come on. Where's my terminal? There we go. Compile successfully. Okay. And there is an error. Eval line 96. Okay, so now we see an error, but the stack, like so it doesn't seem to use. Okay, so it's an error in the engine. we can prettify that and try to figure out what the hell's going on. What is this? Is this obfuscated? Like, why? I mean, I get that you want to obfuscate the code and protect your. It's like, come on, it's JavaScript. It's not that hard to deobfuscate that, but it just makes it harder to figure out what the error is. That is mildly annoying. Okay, so we don't have compile errors. We don't have runtime errors. But it doesn't work and the engine crashes. Yeah, okay, you know what? Here's the question. So if I just do that, would you work? Like if I require a request, but I don't actually use that, does that run? Yes, it does. Okay, so the problem is with calling it. I wonder why. Okay, let's try that. Try catch error, right? I wonder if error is produced by the request. Maybe there is something that I missed here, right? So let's try to figure that out. Console error during request E. Maybe there's the backend doesn't work or something. So where's my console? Yeah, okay. That seems to be fine. And project has exceeded its limit number of requests, disable all requests. Okay, so right, so the error was actually a legit one, and it's coming from the API, and the API is throwing an error because the limits are exceeded for whatever the hosting they use. But that error should have been propagated to the client, right? So that makes it really hard to figure out what the hell's going on. Okay, so we're gonna query this GraphQL endpoint. And did they had? No, they didn't have a trailing slash, so I'm gonna leave it like this. But now we have to change the query, and let's build the query here. So what can we do here? Countries. So okay, we can get countries. Let's do that. So we can get countries. Name. What is most recent? Okay, so most recent. Country, date, I guess confirm. Okay, yeah, so we can get like death recovered and okay, so this is, and I guess country has like name. Okay, yep. All right, that seems, oh god, that's gonna be, yeah, let's where can I put a limit? No, how is there no limit here? What is this? Okay, no, I mean, sure. So I guess I can copy this bit, right? Because it's gonna be consistent across all. Okay, so we want all countries and else. Can I put a limit on this? No, really? That is a very weird structure. Okay, what else could we get? Results, countries, country. Okay, let's go for the results. Can I limit this stuff? Countries, dates. Okay, we can get by date. I guess that's good enough. But you know what? Okay, fine. Whatever. Doesn't even matter right now. I'm not the one who designed this API. It doesn't matter. Country name. And then I can just paste this stuff, right? And this should give us a very, very large JSON of... Oh boy, that is big. Okay, the browser is almost dying doing that. Okay, so we can do this. And theoretically, right, okay, yeah, that is, okay, it sends query back, which makes sense because I haven't replaced that. And there is an error, status 400. What is status 400? And what is the errors there? Console error. So there is error, what? Error response errors is what we want. Okay, let's see what are those errors. Reload that. Show me the errors. What am I doing wrong? And there are no errors actually. Okay, so now it works. Okay, I guess it was maybe the error from the old query. Okay, that is fine, which means that we can just we can, I guess you can use the what do you call it? Can use the god damn it, the error result pattern. Error null results. There we go. Okay, so theoretically we should get an object here that has error and result. Result is going to be incredibly large, and it actually works. Okay, so this works fine. No, wait, we didn't even initialize Apollo client, so that couldn't have been the same error, right? Okay, so we got that error. The result sets. What is with this formatting? Do I have some CSS here or something? Yes, I do. Okay. No, let's kill that. And we don't need this. Okay, yeah, that's obviously gonna take some time. Come on. I trust you can do this. Okay, cool. So we got results. Right, so we probably should dissect this a bit. Results. There we go. Can do that. Okay, result, it's an array of things, and then we can just render. What if those require move? Yeah, so that won't work, right? So if you move this require to the top out of this function, it will be required on the client. But this function basically is compiled on the back end, and this require has to be in it, which means you can actually no longer use imports here, which is a bit of a bummer, but on the other hand, since they're using Node.js version 8, that's fine, I guess. Okay, so this works fine. I guess let's do this, like slice it to like, I don't know, 50 entries or something so that the front end doesn't die from that. Yeah, okay, so the fetching, I guess my internet is slightly slow, as just about as, internet from everyone else right now. Are you working or what is going on? Where's my... There we go. Okay, 50 results, cool. So we can take this and just iterate and render that in some manner. So let's result HTML. Let's write our own small rendering framework. God, why would I do that? Response, results, map. No, I guess we don't need map. We want for each. Results. And what we want to do is so how's our thing looks? Our thing looks like this. So we want result HTML equals, okay, so I'm just gonna be very lazy here and do that. Hey Chris, welcome to the stream. Yes, it's nice to finally be able to do this regularly, not like, all over the place. So yes, very much agree on this. Okay, so this is gonna be result.country.name. Let me think. From, let's do it like this. Results.date. And then we got this stuff, which means we can say, I guess p confirmed is gonna be results confirmed. And then it's gonna be, okay, so we got death. This is a very morbid topic, by the way. It's not like I wanted to do this, but yes, there we go. Recovered and growth rate. Terrifying numbers to see, but okay. Okay, cool. So that should do it. I think I should append bunch of divs, and now instead of doing that, we do result HTML. Okay, since I'm not gonna write anything super interactive, that's fine. No, Carlos, no worries. I mean, it is, this, it's not like we can get away from it anywhere, so that's totally fine. Okay, that looks, why is it all Afghanistan? What is, oh, I guess because it's a set of results. Right, okay, so I'm actually should rewrite the, I should take the countries, and then I should take, okay, yeah, we should rewrite the query because it's just gonna give me the same results over and over again. So we got countries, most recent, and I guess this is what I want, right? Yeah, there we go. This is what we want. So we want a different, slightly different query because I screwed it up a bit. Okay, so we want countries, which means this is going to be countries. Then we're going to slice it, and then we're going to have, so I'm going to save that. No, wait. Which means that there is going to be result name and then results dot most recent date, and then yes, same goes for this. Okay, so this should actually list us countries with the most recent statistics that they have. I think that should do it, right? And come on. No, result is oh, right, because I'm used the wrong thing. No, wait, I didn't. Country. Oh, god damn it. Of course, I renamed it in one place and then forgot to do that in a different one. There we go. So it actually works, and we actually got our... Okay, the recovered is null. Why the hell is null? So recovered is... Am I misspelling that, or is it just the data? Yeah, it seems like it's the data. Okay, cool. That's not exactly... Does this support hot reloading? Well, I mean, it does support it in the... Like, it does hot reloads here, right? So let's say we did that, and then I'm just gonna slice it, and then I'm gonna map it. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do that. Let's say const results. So I'm gonna map it and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say our most recent recovered is gonna be equal this or 0, because some of them are not zeros, right? So we're gonna do that. And as you can see here, it just started. So as soon as I tabbed from it and it saved the file, it started hot reloading, so it works fine. On Twitch, we can see questions from YouTube. The problem is this chat doesn't really work that well, and sometimes it picks up the questions, the other times it does not. I am trying to read them, but if you missed something, then apologies. I'm trying to find a better solution, and as someone suggested, I might end up just building one, because while Restream works really well for like streaming to 2 places at once, the chat is just bleh. Yes, as you're not the first person to suggest to make one, and we might end up just doing that at some point, but yeah. Okay, so this actually seems to work fine. Right. Yeah, okay, so, I mean, this is pretty basic. I still wonder why Apollo doesn't work. So, yeah, okay. I mean, that's relatively... Okay, another question. Here's the interesting bit. So they say that they remove the code, right? So they remove the code from... let me think. From the deployment. So, okay, let's try to npm run deploy this, right? So this is going to deploy it to the server. I am gonna create a new window over here, drag it here, and we are gonna take our deployment, and I'm gonna go into the sources and actually see whether it actually removes stuff, right? Because I'm curious. Okay, so this is the old version. Okay, so it built everything, it compiled stuff, it seems fine. And I mean, it's kind of cool that you can deploy it with one command. I do like that, but the quirkiness and the fact that it doesn't give you like proper stack traces and propagates the errors completely is kind of a deal breaker, because it's like if you cannot be sure that the tool will show you all the errors, it's going to be one hell of a painful experience trying to figure out why does your code not work. But it has potential like that. I will say definitely this. Definitely has potential. And I blocked stuff. Okay, let me just do that. Okay, come on. There we go. Okay, so, oh yeah, that is actually really fast. Okay, that is really fast, by the way. Do you have to log in or add some kind of oath to deploy? No, I did not have to add any Google credentials or anything like this. So basically all I did was, no, sorry, that is our demo. What was it? WarpJS. All I had to do was log in, so create my account here, using the invite, then do the npx warp login, and that's it. So I think they handle it basically on the backend themselves. So my assumption right now, they don't write this anywhere, and I think this is kind of a missing bit of info, is that once they go completely live, you're going to be able to choose if you want your stuff deployed to Google, Amazon, Azure, whatever, and they're going to handle it for you anyway, but they're going to charge a bit more on top of every function call. At least that's what I would do. But again, as I said before, there's definitely missing information on the pricing, how it's going to work, and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's very bare bones right now. But it is a beta, so, you know, hopefully they can improve that maybe after watching this video, if they stick through the whole video. But I do, like, it's an interesting approach. I just, as I said, I wonder, I'm still not convinced that, okay, let me just close this. Oh yeah, why did I close this? God damn it. I wanted to, we wanted to look at the source code, right? It's like, stop distracting me. Okay, anyway. Right, so let me just make this a bit larger. We go into sources, and we're gonna have, no, Carlos, that was a joke. Don't worry, man. I'm just screwing with you. Okay, let's have a look at the source code. So first of all, pretty print that stuff. So what do we have here? It is, does it obfuscate everything? Blah, blah, blah. What is this? This seems like a part of Webpack. So there's the Warp engine config. So I assume this is the Warp engine and it seems obfuscated. Again, I'm not a fan of this. You can easily de-obfuscate stuff like this. It just makes it annoying for developers to try to debug their stuff and figure out if it's the engine problem or if it's something else. And, you know, this is not your core business. So just open source the damn thing and let us look at the source maps to figure out what's wrong. At least that's my opinion of it. Okay, so there's like a ton of engine code. Where's my code? Okay, there's my code. Right, so there we go. So there is, I guess let me just extend this the whole way. Can I? Yeah, let's collapse this. We don't need that. We don't need that. So call A. Okay, so we're calling A. And to throw a warp x switch return, there seems to be some, again, some encryption obfuscation going on here. And yeah, it seems like, so it completely moved it. So it basically creates some sort of a signature that is going to call and binds it to warp itself and basically removes the code from the client. I mean, that's great. So that's pretty cool that they do that. Again, my problem is that I'm not convinced that the directives is the way to go. Like, how frequently would you run? Well, like, okay, you know what? Here's an interesting question. So we do this GraphQL request. It's a package that works both on a client and on a backend, right? So let's say I go, okay, so I want to know env data, and I'm just going to say node version. We're going to say process version, right? So I'm just going to do that. And in addition to what I am sending right now, I'm going to send env data. So, where's my local host? There we go. And theoretically, we should now see that in, oh, right, because I have stopped npm run dev. I wonder if that will actually break it. So here's, wait a second. Just bear with me for a second. Come on now, build it. There we go. Okay, we did that. That works. We got the env data. There's our node version. We got everything that we expected. Cool. So now let's say I want this function to be in the client, right? So I'll just say it's gonna be everywhere. Are you actually gonna compile? So I'm gonna rerun this. Is it actually gonna work? Okay, so this does work. I guess it's not executed in client, but bundled into it anyway. That one works. Okay, view page source, main.js. Let's see, where is our... is there a sources tab in Firefox Explorer? What's new? No. Where do I get the sources? Network, debugger. Oh, okay, in debugger, okay. Right, so we got this, Webpack. Okay, so there we go. There's our source maps, and there's the API, and it's already obfuscated even in here. That is mildly annoying. So I guess it doesn't use source maps, which makes it a bit harder to debug. And there's our API function, and oh boy, it does inject a whole ton of stuff in it. But we can see the source code, so it actually does include it, but I guess it's never executed, so it doesn't do anything, right? So it should be fine. Interesting. I mean, it's running in a local development environment, so that's pretty much should work in the same way the deployment does. But we can try it. Why not? We can try that. Blah, blah, blah. Let me think. npm run deploy. Let us deploy this and see if that actually. So yeah, this should now be a new page, right? There we go. Okay, it's all of a sudden became a lot slower than before. I wonder how that works. Maybe it's my internet. I don't know. Okay, so let's see if we actually can access. Let me make the sources a bit larger for you. I guess it's gonna be just one file. Like, oh man, I wish that you would have an option to include the source maps here. Like, this is something that is just can be immensely helpful. And honestly, in JavaScript world, I don't see, you know, the point of obfuscating and basically hiding code if you can deobfuscate everything anyway. Okay, all right, so we got env data back. We got node 8.16. God damn it. Okay, so we got this thing. Let's pretty print that. It's going to be really large. Our code is at the very end. No, it's not. It's actually not at the very end anymore. Interesting. So this is now other stuff. Interesting. Okay, so where is my inner? Okay, yeah, there we go. There's our code. And there should be o.a, which we call, which should be above. Yeah, there we go. There it is. All right, so it does actually include it. And n is this X version. What is X? Are you actually using process or are you polyfilling it or something? Interesting. But yeah, it does work actually. That's pretty cool. So I guess you can basically pick and choose on whether you want to include functions in a client or a server. That's you know, let's not do anything too perverse and just leave it as is. All right, let me think. So I guess it's basic. Unless you guys want to try anything else, I guess that will be it for today's stream. That was like a nice hour of experimenting with it, trying to figure out how it works. It has potential, but there's definitely a ton of issues with it, mostly related to error handling and how it just eats the errors and doesn't actually let you figure out what is going on. You know, as someone who develops daily as a job, that like eating errors would be a deal breaker for me, absolutely. But I mean, again, it's a beta version, so it might as well change quite a lot of times. So looking forward to seeing how that develops. Base 64, but base 64 is just a string, right? So this should be just fine. It's not like it's gonna change anything. We already figured out that they can basically just pass whatever is possible via the XHRs or WebSockets. I guess anything that is passable via web protocols. Let's put it this way. So it would be cool to see some sort of framework that allows you to pass around like event emitters and stuff like this, which would be amazing. I guess you could achieve that by using the WebSockets and running some abstractions over them, but man, that sounds complicated. So you know what? Let's just you know what would be interesting? How would you go around running the function with a WebSocket? Because they don't have a docs for that, and I assume if we do it like this, it's not going to work. Like you cannot just return a WebSocket, right? Because it's one-off function. Like I know there is a way to do that on Amazon Web Services, for example, with some workarounds, obviously, but yeah, so the docs is the other part that definitely needs improvements. Some better examples, I guess. I remember. Oh wait a second. They did have they did have an examples repo, if I remember correctly. No, that's not it. Samples. There we go. Do you have so Facebook Oath, Firebase, Proxy, MongoDB, Stripe, TensorFlow, Twilio? No, this doesn't seem like they have anything. What is this? Via Michelin. Okay, no. Okay, so all of that is relatively straightforward. It doesn't seem like they do any like real-time stuff with it, which I mean, I guess makes sense. Maybe it's just not their use case, so they decided not to, you know, try too much, I guess. Okay, anyway, let me just commit all of that. If you guys have any other things you think I should try now, or questions or suggestions, throw them into the chat right now. If not, I will just update this, push it into the GitHub, and be done with it. Exploring WarpJS. I guess I should also copy my usual README from somewhere. Again, I should write a README generator. That sounds, again, you know, the more I do that, the more it sounds like a good idea. So, WarpJS, this goes here, blah, blah, blah. Do you know how to create a simple front end and API using WarpJS? Still, I want to move require outside the function. We already tried that, right? It doesn't work. And like, it's just gonna throw an error that it doesn't know what the function that we're calling that is not required is. Exploring WarpJS. Example of setting up front end and API with. But I mean, require import is the same, right? I mean, Webpack resolves them in more or less the same way. It's just the manner of how it gets the defaults or named imports, and that's basically it. So that's not going to change anything. Simple front end and API using WarpJS. There we go. Okay, that looks fine. I should probably put a link. WarpJS, right, I should add a WarpJS invite because I do have some. I have no idea how many or, you know, how that works. So I'm just gonna throw that into the chat. So if you are guys interested in trying it out, go ahead and grab it right now. And obviously cannot send it to YouTube. Why the hell? I'm gonna send it to YouTube myself. Okay, so we did that. WarpJS invite, and okay, this looks fine, this looks fine, this looks okay. Right, I think we're good. Git commit basic web app that queries GraphQL API and renders results on frontend. I probably should mention that it queries GraphQL API in a server-side function, I guess. There we go. That's a very long commit message, but it's fine. Right, I should probably change git config and change that because we are not gonna go here. So we need to make a repo now. Let me think. So create that. Let's call it exploring WarpJS, and I'm gonna be super lazy again and copy everything from over here. Create that and just push that there. So again, if you guys have any questions, suggestions, or whatever, throw them in the chat right now. If not, then well, that's basically it for today. Again, as I said, you know, it has potential, but there is a ton of small issues here and there that require basically figuring out how to properly, or I guess what it requires is a lot of unit tests or I guess integration tests that throw errors, and then a lot of tests that basically catch them and figure out if the propagation actually happened. Okay, yeah, I think we look good. Let me just WarpJS function as a service example. That should do it, I guess. Okay, I should probably update this with a video link. Oh boy, I am so consistent, it's just incredible. All right, doesn't seem like there's any more questions or suggestions, so thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you found the video interesting, the stream. Again, this is my first time trying to explore, review something on a stream, so let me know if you like this format or not, if I should do more of it or less of it or never do that again. And yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, take care as well, stay safe, stay at home, self-quarantine, social distancing, wash your hands, all that kind of stuff. I mean, this stuff is not a joke. Memphis, we are not all gonna die. I am sorry I missed your question, but no, it's totally fine. Just stay at home and wash your hands and you're gonna be okay. And yeah, you know, stay safe. Have a great rest of the week. And I see you on Saturday for BxJS Weekly as usual. And then we're going to do something fun next week. Maybe build a proper working chat for both platforms, because this thing is annoying. Like, come on. How it just accepts some messages but not other. Like, how is this even... Anyway, we're going to see what... We'll figure something out. All right, guys. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.